Hello and welcome to the Shakedown. Today, it is me, Rainforest, aka Brian Forbes, as well as a special guest host that we've talked about before. Please welcome Dave.
Hello, everybody. Dave Brown here. Just thought I'd say hi. My voice is going because I've got killer allergies. Whoever thought you would have allergies in November, but here in Texas, we do.
Nice. So last episode, I talked a bunch about the trustee camp and life and drama on the trustee camp. And that is where I met Dave. Malone actually met Dave other places before Dave made his transition out to the trustee camp. And I figured Dave would be a perfect person to talk to about social life out in prison in general, since he's an expert on social life in and out of prison.
I wouldn't really consider prison a social life, but it is its own hierarchy in and of itself.
That is for sure. It is. There's social life in there, but it's it's something totally different.
It's sort of like the social norms are reversed in prison than they are in the world. Because out here in the mainstream, it's like people of, for lack of better words, people of color are considered to be a lower class. Yet when you go to prison, it's reversed, and the people who are not of color are pretty much the lower class, and the other people are now the ruling class.
Right, and that's also has a lot to do with the fact that especially in Texas, the fact that the majority of, I don't know about the majority numbers, but it's the percentages of people inside of prison, it's not the same percentages, and there's a vast more minorities inside prison than outside of prison, and it's a huge difference. So
go Greg Abbott.
Yes, thank you, Governor Abbott, for all the wonderful things that you do. But it's a long
locking everybody up and making prison big industry.
Yeah, that's his goal for sure. But I mean, it goes far beyond that. But yeah, I agree with you that it's it gets upside down, and especially when you've got majority minority in place, for sure.
It's just weird too, like how in prison you can take somebody who on the streets was a drug addict, homeless, whatever, comes from a very poor family and absolutely had nothing, as far as, not just immaterially, right? But you take those same people and put them in prison, and all of a sudden, their people are sending them more money than they can spend on the commissary, and they get into prison and they become a person of stature, for lack of better words, because now they're somebody. They get to go to store and they make store, and and it's like the whole the monetary based system or society we live in, pretty much. And it's like it takes them from being a minority or somebody who is a nobody and turns them into somebody who is somebody in in a different environment.
Right. And that the people who make store versus the people who don't, that's a huge that really, people will come up and find people, as soon as the people know that you make store, they will find you and they will want to be your best friend in the world. If they're not if you're not
shot of coffee.
Yeah. Can I get a shot of coffee? Yeah, that's a famous phrase you'll hear a lot of. And also, if you're not on a rock and you roll unit and they're immediately trying to take it from you, but
man, I was on the Clemens unit, and I literally been in the commissary line and seen some guy go to the commissary window with the guy behind him. He makes a big store, spends all he can. Back then, I think you could spend $65 was your spend limit, right? So somebody go to the window, make $65 at commissary, and they drop it in their commissary bag, and they walk away with a legal pad and some stationery, and they leave their bag there. The guy behind him goes up to the window, buys an ice cream, picks up this whole big old bag of commissary, and walks away. Because the person behind them with the big bag of commissary now is also protecting or the person that went in front of them. It's crazy. This was all before PREA, before the Prison Rape Elimination Act and all that, when things were a little crazier.
Yes. And yeah, a little crazier, a little more stripping, a little more, uh, yeah, a little less shower curtains and things like that in certain units. That's, yeah.
Yeah, you could walk around with a black eye and nobody cared then.
That's true. They wouldn't, I
You know,
did,
so
yeah.
it's crazy though. So like, having been done time on both sides of that fence, it's when things were a little rougher, right? When it was a little bit more, you're gonna have to fight for what's yours. You're gonna have to defend it. It was more uh, Darwin-esque, I guess you could say. It seemed easier to do time. I mean, yes, it was a little bit more violent. You had to pay attention a little bit more to what was going on around you. But on the same token, once you were established, then you didn't have to worry about anything, and it was cool. And if some shit was going to break down, they were going to tell you, "Hey, look out!" How many times I heard, "Hey, look out, Chino, you don't want to go to breakfast tomorrow morning," or like, "Hey, look out, Chino, don't go out to the rec yard today because some shit's going to pop off." Now everybody's snitching on everybody and running to the building major and the building captain and whoever else and just telling it.
That is, so that was something I talked about in the last episode about how we had a bunch of guys at our camp that, so like 4 guys got caught smoking smoking K2, and then 1 guy still managed to make parole. And why that is, why everyone was pretty accurate. There's probably snitching going on, and how
Oh, of
that would,
course.
yeah. But like, I mean, but we have to break, like, I had to break that down because, like, that's, it's not something we think of, like, most people are going to think about here. They're going to put that together as far as, like, the snitching and why people would do that. Because not most people aren't going to do that out in the free world, or it's not going to come to them, I don't think.
Oh, definitely not out here, and people aren't even going to give it a second thought out here. Whereas there, you have nothing but time. You have no job, really. I mean, you have no responsibility. So what else? What can you do? You just think. You know,
Right. And that,
spend time in your head.
which, yeah, that's like the most dangerous thing right there, is spending time in your head. That's super dangerous place to, especially, yeah, I mean, there,
Yeah, that can go both ways, though, really. But kind of off topic. But what it always amazes me about people, and this goes with people being inside their head, is you hear somebody talking and be like, "Look out, man! I was just this one night, man, and I had this Nike outfit, and these dudes will know exactly what shoes, socks, underwear, shirt, top, everything they had on, full clarity memory of exactly what they wore." And that always amazed me. It's like you can remember all this stuff, but you can't remember basic math.
yeah, I, to me, that just says more about how we teach math than it does about, like, the guy themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Because we don't even want to talk about the educational system, but it's screwed too.
I mean, like, and a lot of those guys too, they would spend all day in like GED classes, and then they would need someone else to like add up their commissary list. And
Leave that alone. Sorry, my
yeah,
dog was she's going after my mala.
what's a mala?
Jewish, Buddhist prayer beads.
Ah,
I have a mala that I wear as a bracelet. And my friend Brandy made me 2 malas. One is a really traditional mala, and then she made me another one I wear.
oh, nice.
So I wear it every day.
And that, yeah. Did you get any while you were locked up?
No, I never got one while I was locked up. And then I was talking about it actually to her about malas, and her sister's all into like new age and spirituality and just like stones and tarot and this, that, and the other. And she goes, "Hey, me and Chris are gonna make you a mala." And I was like, "What?" And so they did. And then she sent me a like a what every stone meant and how what the order they did and everything. It was really, I mean, they spent some time on it. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
So it has a place of stature over here on the wall, my regular mala, and then the other one I wear on my wrist.
Very cool. All right. Well, so Okay. So like I bring all this up or the topic of socializing in prison to kind of talk about what I mean, what is there a social hierarchy in prison? How does it go with socializing and what is yeah, what does the day-to-day look like? And that's a hard one because I can't think of it, like, what is the specifics off the top of my
Well,
head?
kind of. I can. It's sort of like being in high school again, but a lot more like a rougher high school and all men.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
pretty
pretty much a
accurate.
popularity show. You know what I mean? So, because like if you just like so in the building where things are, there's it's more prevalent, right? Because everybody clicks up and sticks together, this, that, and the other. You have all the Mexican guys, and they're all like, they're all blasting, and then you have like all the white power guys, and then you have like the Crips and Bloods and this, that, and the other. But if you take all of them and take the speaker from all of them from every group, it's the most popular guy in the group.
Right.
you know. And if you ever notice, like talking to people, they'll be talking about like somebody like I'm in the building at Stringfellow. There was a guy. What was his name? Anyway, some white power guy. He was a complete douchebag, right? But the dude was kind of charismatic. So people, other white dudes would be like, "Hey, you know so and so," and I'd be like, "I know who it is," or whatever. But it's the whole. So he like hit the top of the food chain there and became the most popular one, and it's just weird how it works, like that works in there. And then also, you've seen this, like the ones that are good with the rank,
Yes.
you know, like Ben Johnson.
Oh, yeah, Ben Johnson. Yeah, yeah, he's the
And
one he's gonna be the first person you meet when you come into the unit. You're gonna meet Ben Johnson and one of the other guys.
Ben Johnson and the Asian guy, I forget his name. But they were, like they're almost like politicians out here. You know what I mean? They were accessible, but people didn't really talk to them, but everybody knew who they were.
Right.
It's like people that didn't even never talk to Ben Johnson knew exactly who Ben Johnson was. Either they saw him in passing, or and he was real quick to be like, "Hey, how you doing?" or whatever. I mean, Ben Johnson always he just reminded me of a car salesman.
Yes, car salesman and politician are 2 great ways to describe Ben Johnson, and those are what was that position called? It was the thing it was the peer educator or whatever? The
Yeah,
y
yeah. Peer educator.
Yeah, the peer educator, the peer educators would go, all of the peer educators from a unit, they once every 6 months or something like that, they'd get together, they'd have a pizza party at a unit, and where they go over what the new peer education syllabus is, and like they'd also teach classes where at the end of each class they would get to watch a movie, which was the big. That's why you wanted to take peer education because you get to watch Avatar or you get to watch some movie you wouldn't get to see on TV all the time, and the peer educators would get to choose it. And the class was not. I mean, if you took a peer education class, it would show up on your parole sheet, but the classes were all BS. If you most of them, it's most of it was like info you could have learned in high school. Sadly, it was like probably more information than a lot of the guys in there had ever gotten in their lives about nutrition, sex,
Yeah,
um, parenting.
social skills.
Yeah, and he's
Right.
yeah. It was like it's probably more information they've ever gotten in their life, but it's like super basic information. So like I can't. It's hard to um like it's hard to like I it's just it was just but it was super basic but Ben Johnson and those guys anytime you went on a unit there was a guy like Ben Johnson who's politician slash car salesman that was super well in with the rank because you had to get one of those pure educator jobs and he would welcome you in and then teach you classes and get to watch movies doing it.
There's nothing wrong with watching a movie every now and then, but
I
it's funny. You and I, like, I think we take for granted all those basic life skills, for lack of better words, that a lot of these people have never learned because it's like growing up for me, that was just normal. It's just normal, It's like, and or even just like even normal mannerisms. Like, I mean, I curse like a fucking sailor, but it's like I know when to turn it off and when not to.
right.
It's like I can what the basic social skills that a lot of people in prison don't ever they don't ever learn. You know,
Like
they're being raised by. Yeah. adult children,
Well, yeah,
and
like
it's, you know,
if you don't want hepatitis or AIDS, don't use a needle that was just in somebody else's arm. Or
that's pretty basic. Exactly. Or yeah, you don't want to have a kid wear a condom.
right. Super complex. I mean, yeah, it is super stuff that was drilled into us when as kids. Yeah, a lot of these guys do not have or did not know about.
Yeah. If you want to keep your apartment, pay your rent.
Right. The problem with that is that the class and none of the classes really get into, well, how do you pay your rent? This is a job you can do to pay your rent. It was just kind of left off. Pay your rent. You should have savings. End. Like that's the
But
information.
and that, another fallacy with that whole deal with those people is, in there they tell you, hey, well, you can get a job at an XYZ company, and and they list all these companies that are like great companies that are really never going to hire a felon,
Right.
and it's like, and they forget to tell people, hey, look, yeah, you can get a job at McDonald's, but that job at McDonald's is not going to pay your bills.
Right.
So in addition to that job at McDonald's, you need to get a job at Burger King, you know.
Yeah, you're going to be working nonstop, and I mean, the thing is, there are skills they could learn to like market themselves. Like if there are things they could be learning while they're locked up that could, I mean, that could be helpful. Even like construction and stuff like that. Those are skills they will hire felons for. They don't care, and you can make money for doing it.
For that. And I mean, so like they have the welding program and they have like the auto mechanic programs over there in prison, which are great because I think for a lot of those people, that's where they need to be. Not where they need to be, but what suits them best,
Right. But those programs are only usually they're only like 6 months. If you're lucky, you can make
Yeah.
it in as a TA and then keep improving on those skills. But if you're locked up for 20 years and you take a 6-month program, your sixth year in there, that's not a whole lot. Like you didn't really get a whole lot from it.
That's very true. And you hear a lot of people talk about it. Well, I took a welding trade like 5 years ago, and I'm like, it's so stupid. You would think TDC, once they put you through a vocational program, if you are whatever, say you're top of the class in your welding class, you would think they would try and get you a job within prison where you're welding, where you're actually utilizing your skill. Granted, they're not going to have enough jobs for everybody in that welding class, but they could have they would have jobs for say like the top 10%, or the top two people in the class or whatever. Even if that meant they got transferred to another unit, like that doesn't ever happen because they do that like, my God, I can only imagine what they spend on transportation. But
Right. And they could, I mean, honestly, if they took every person who made a welding trade and spread them out all across the units, because welding is like one of the top things they need at all of the units. And they always run out of
and
welders
plumbers.
and plumbers. Yes, absolutely. They can always use more plumbers and they never have them. But I will say, like, the majority of people who graduate from those classes too, they won't be welders, they won't be plumbers. Only a certain
Not at
fraction
all.
will. Yeah.
Which is unfortunate too, because I mean, like what was his name? You knew him, Micah Davis.
Yes.
He was a pipeline welder in the world. I mean, he was telling me like his helper got $25 an hour just to be his helper.
Oh,
I was like, that's insane. All he's doing is setting up the weld, and Micah just comes through and welds the bead, and that's it. You can only imagine. Micah was killing it, but he spent all his money on alcohol.
right. Micah did some amazing stuff. I well, I will say. So I met. One of the things that Dave and Micah and I did was we would work out together. And Micah, from the scrap metal that we had, he was able to put together like an actual legit weight set, which was that unheard of in most units. And that was awesome. Even though I injured myself on it, it was great.
But so even talk about the social structure and the hierarchy in prison. Everybody respected everybody's time, their time slots in the gym.
Right.
We had those weights, but we had them. We knew that those weights were ours at a certain time.
Right.
And and if we were trying to work out at a different time, and other people, I mean, everybody had they were courteous enough to be like, hey, can I get in there can I get those weights after you or whatever. So I mean, that's another kind of prime example of how the hierarchy works in prison.
That is absolutely true, and yes, like watching, and it's not always that polite. I feel like that was a big thing about the trustee camp in general. Like I talked a lot about a lot of the drama in the last show about the camp, but honestly, the trustee camp was a lot of respect because of the fact that most everyone was like on their way out there, and they weren't trying to start drama there for the most part.
Or they were trying to stay out there and they didn't want to go back to the building.
Right. And we saw plenty of guys get sent back to the building, and
Oh, here, right? I was one.
that is true. Yeah.
From the building to medium custody back to the trustee camp. That was awesome.
Yeah, you had the full range of experience there, which
I got to see good old Amir Ben David in full action out in the building. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, you were there. You were there when he started a fire, right? Or
yes. Oh my God.
So yeah, tell us about the fire. Yeah, we can end.
Dude, they started. Well, him and he's one, and then others. There's like multiple fires. Now, medium custody, so you're in your cell for supposedly 20 hours a day. You only get out for 4 hours a day, except to go to meals and go shower. And of course, showers are like 5 a.m. when you don't want to get up and go take a shower because everybody's been up all night screaming, and that makes it sound really bad. Medium custody was actually kind of fun in a weird way because as violent and as crazy as it was, there was a lot of respect, and I know that's completely contradictory, but that's the way it was. But yeah, people would like start their mattresses on fire and like throw them out on the run, which is completely stupid to me. I mean, you have a steel bed to lay on. Why are you going to get rid of your mattress?
Right. And also,
and not only that, what is good is going to come out of starting a fire? You're in a concrete and steel enclosure. It's not like anything's going to burn down, and you're not really doing anything but fucking yourself and everybody else,
And
I never understood the mentality with starting fires.
And let's be clear. When you say the word mattress is what they've called the thing that we slept on. The thing that we slept on is not a mattress. There's no springs or anything in it. It was basically a plastic mat, and inside of it, what can be best described as asbestos. That's all. That's the best way I can describe what we slept on.
Right? Asbestos that was knotted up. Don't get it. I mean, because that's, oh my God, those people kick their mattresses and yeah, it was not, they're not very comfortable. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to have my memory foam mattress now.
Right. I mean, I sleep on basically a futon, and it's light years beyond what we slept on there. And so,
I mean, a carpeted floor is more comfortable than a TDC mattress.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, seriously, like for real.
Yeah, I actually wrote the Houston Chronicle once, and I told them, like, I was writing about this article that they put out, and I really like it was by Carrie Blakinger, and I love her work, but I was like, seriously, like one of the first things I'm like, we don't sleep on mattresses, we sleep on mats, and they're nothing like a mattress. And
no, not at all.
But yeah, so we're getting close. Yeah, it's about time to wrap it up. So I might have you on for the next one if you have time. But
yeah, I'll walk the dog real quick.
Okay. So I will
jumping in my lap.
I will let Dave walk the dog. Thanks for being on. And as always, if anyone has any suggestions or comments or anything like that, please let us know. If you have any comments for anything for Dave, I'm happy to let him know. If you have any shit to talk to Malone, I'm happy to let him know about that as well.
Everybody talk shit to Malone.
Yes, please do.
And
that's Malone. That's Malone's soulmate right there. Just so you know, the dog.
Yes, he loves my dog.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, please, email your gripes and complaints about Malone and or comment them in the video. And we'll be back next time with another podcast. And thanks so much.
Right on.
The Shakedown was produced at Longmont Public Media. And our theme song, Shakedown, was brought to you by Envato Elements. If you want any Shakedown merchandise, or you want to support the show, you can go to waywordpress.com. That's WAYWORD press.com.